This is Algebra 1. We're on lesson 2-4, two-step equations. In terms of where we are in the class as a module guide, so if we look at Unit 2, we can see that we are on 2-4 right here, two-step equations. That means we know what our homework is tonight, two-step equations on Khan Academy. And we have a bunch of lessons all the way to 2-7 until we have our next quiz. So that means if today is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that means on Friday we have a quiz. Each one of these is a single day. So coming back to our notes here, again, I'm always coming back to this metaphor. When I have an equation, I really have some sort of balance. So the balance that I have today is I'm going to have three of these unknown variables, unknown weights, I should say, not variables. Let's say that we have a weight of question mark here, and you're going to draw this in your notes as well. Question mark here, and question mark here. So I have three of these unknown quantities, but I also have, let's say I have 5 of these 1 kilogram blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then on the right-hand side, I have, let's say, 17 1 kilogram blocks. So lots and lots of blocks. It's going to take a while to write this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17. All right, it'll take you a while to draw all of that in your notes. I'll let you copy that down. So in lessons 2-1 through 2-3, we've done one-step equations where you either subtract or add to both sides, or you can multiply or divide both sides. Now we're going to be mixing those together. All right, so when I'm solving this thing, it would be nice to say, oh, I just take a third of this side and I take a third of this side. The problem with that is I can't do a third of 5. You would have 5/3, which is okay. Fractions are okay, but we can do it a little bit neater. What I can do first is to get rid of these 5 1 kilogram blocks. So I say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Get rid of those, take them off the scale. The problem with that is this was perfectly balanced. And Gunnar, can you close your laptop all the way, please? This was perfectly balanced, and if I take off those 5 kilogram blocks and take them to the side, then it's unbalanced. So in order to preserve that balance, I take off 5 from the right. So here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I still preserve that balance. Now I'm one step closer. This turns it into that problem from 2-3 where you multiply or divide something by both sides. So if I take a third of both sides, if I divide both sides by 3, then I'm taking a third of the left. So those 2 unknown blocks go away. And then I have to take a third of the right. And you can see that I have a column here that I can cross out, a column here that I can cross out, and then 1/3. This column here is still available, which means by taking a third of both sides, I have now gotten that question mark block on the right is equal to 4 of these 1 kilogram blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. I was about to write the number 4. 4 kilogram blocks. So that's our metaphor. I want to do this, what it actually looks like on Khan Academy and in the tests and quizzes and stuff like that. So this translates into 3 of these unknown quantities. So I'm going to say 3 of these x's, 3x, and I had 5 of those kilogram blocks. So I'm going to say plus 5. Are you okay, Gunnar? Plus 5. And that was equal to, and I had 17 on the right-hand side. The first thing that I decided to do was to get rid of 5, to subtract 5 from both sides. So I said minus 5 on the left, minus 5 on the right, and evaluate that. On the left-hand side, I just have my 3x. These 5s canceled each other out, so we can say those are gone. Positive 5 minus 5 is 0. So I could write 3x plus 0, but it's kind of a waste of time, so I'm just going to leave it blank. They canceled each other out. And then I have to do 17 minus 5, and 17 minus 5 is 12. That is equivalent to crossing out 5 of those 1 kilogram blocks on the right. So everyone is copying this down with me, making sure that people are catching up. And then from here, I had to divide both sides by 3, or another way of saying that is to multiply both sides by a third. I think dividing by 3 is probably easier to see. So I'm going to say divide both sides by 3. I'm going to say divide that side by 3, divide that side by 3. Whatever I do to the left, I do to the right. When I divide both sides by 3, these 3's cancel each other out, and I'm just left with x. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and I get my final answer, x is equal to 4, which is equivalent to what we saw up here. This question mark block was equal to 4 kilograms. And of course, my final answer, I always box. Are there any questions on this metaphor before we move on to talk about why I did what I did? Well, I have a question. My question is, why did I subtract those 5 blocks instead of just divide by 3? I already said it. Does someone want to get some XP and talk to me why I did that? No? Okay, I can make that a little bit more clear by talking about order of operations. So when I try to solve for x, I need to undo whatever's happening to it. When I have 3x plus 5, everything on the left-hand side with x, I need to undo. If I were to do things with a normal order of operations, I have that acronym. It's up there on the right-hand side next to the Albert Einstein. Do we remember what that acronym is? You just want to read it off? What is it? PEMDAS, yeah. So P-E-M-D-A-S. PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, as it's commonly taught in elementary school. We just call it order of operations, and PEMDAS is a great acronym to remember that. All right, we're going to get a ton of XP here, so let me get that set up. Class Algebra 1, come on here. All right, P. What does P stand for? Quiet raised hand, quiet raised hand. We'll go with Sergio.
Parentheses.
Yeah, so we'll say that is parentheses, and if you don't like that word in your notes, you can just put a symbol like that, parentheses. That's the first thing that you do when you're looking to simplify an expression. Parentheses. E. What does E stand for? Monse. Exponents. Yes. Let me give Sergio your 50. Monse your 50. Yeah, exponents. So you can either write out the word exponents, or you can say something like a to the second or something like that. You can do both the words and the symbols, just the symbols. However you want to take the notes here, it's up to you. You don't have to copy this down verbatim. Ooh, what does the M stand for? M stands for what? Gunner.
Multiplication.
Multiplication. There it is. Multiplication. So something times something else. And then I'm going to do this in a different color. The D stands for, Andres?
Division.
Division. There it is. So something divided by something else, or you can have this divided by symbol. Andres, there's your 50. Did I give Gunner? I did, okay. Whoa, Andres, nice. Nice math, all right. A, that stands for, quiet raised hand, these easy XP, Josie. Addition. So something plus something else. Easy XP there. Josie, 50. And finally, Jose, do you want to do S for us? Yeah, subtraction. All right. So when I'm simplifying an expression, this is the order that I go. I go first parentheses, then exponents. Multiplication and division happen at the same level. If I see multiplication and division, just go left to right. It doesn't matter which one you do first as long as you're doing them at the same time, left to right. Addition and subtraction are both in the same level. That's why they're both in the same rung here. If I see subtraction first, then addition, I'll do subtraction, then addition. But first I do parentheses, then exponents, then multiplication slash division, then addition slash subtraction. When I'm solving for x, I'm going backwards. I'm trying to undo things. I had plus 5, I need to undo it. But I didn't undo the multiplication and division first because with order of operations, I'm going backwards now. So in terms of solving an equation, instead of going down, I'm going up. So draw an arrow going up. First, I look to undo addition and subtraction. Then I undo multiplication and division, both of those at the same level. Then I undo exponents. Then I undo parentheses. I'm going backwards with my order of operations in order to solve. So if you're ever not sure, should I subtract 5 first or should I divide by 3 first, look at PEMDAS, look up on the wall and be like, oh, I'm going from the bottom to the top, so I'm going to undo those bottom ones first. And that's the key for today. When I solve for a variable, that means that I am undoing. Means undoing. And this undoing operations, what I really mean here by undoing operations, and I'm going to use this word time and again, undoing operations, I'm really isolating. To get the variable by itself. And that needs to be in your summary, some form of that. If you want to simplify it, that's okay. But I'm undoing operations. That's why I'm going reverse order of operations. That is super key. This whole idea here of going backwards with order of operations, it will continue through the rest of your mathematics career. That might be till the end of high school. That might be till college. This you need to have down. When I'm solving 2-step or 3-step or 5-step equations, I'm going with reverse order of operations. All right, let's try it out. Solve for A. There's 2 steps here because we are calling this 2-step equations. So that's 2 people that can get some XP. What's the first step and what's the second step? So first step, quiet raised hand. Cohen. Subtract 7 from both sides, exactly. So minus 7. I do my bar and I say, okay, I'm left with now 5a, those 7 minus 7, that should cancel each other out. So I'm going to cross out those 7s because they cancel each other out. There's only a 0 there. I copy down my equal sign right beneath the equal sign that I had. And then 47 minus 7 is 40. Very nice, Cohen. That's some XP. There you are. 5a is equal to 40. I subtract 7. Actually, I'm going to give 3 people XP. Tell me why I subtracted 7 instead of dealing with the 5 first. Somehow using this order of operations topic that we just did. Why did we subtract 7 before dealing with that 5? Quiet raised hand. Why did we subtract 7 first? Jose. So that we could get to the division. What about PEMDAS made you, can you use PEMDAS somehow in your answer? Yeah, subtraction first because it's that lowest level, and then we're going to do the division. Perfect. Thank you, Jose. All right, and then next step, quiet raised hand. Next step. Hopefully I can call in someone new. There are like 4 people that have not participated yet today. Someone new, please, 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 please. Someone new. No. All right, Monse. Yeah, divide by 5 on both sides. I like how you said that. On both sides. You have to do the same thing to both sides to preserve that equality, to preserve the balance. So by dividing by 5, those 5s cancel out. I'm left with A. My equal sign I copy down right beneath all the other equal signs. 40 divided by 5. Shout it out, class, is, I heard it once, is 8. And don't forget to box your answer. How many more examples do I have? I have a lot more. I'm just going to do a brief note. How could I check my answer? We're not going to do it because we don't have time, but how could I check my answer to make sure that 8 is the correct answer? Quiet raised hand. Jose knows. Fernando knows. No one else knows. Andres knows. Fernando, talk to me. Yeah, I rewrite the same equation. 5a plus 7 is equal to 47. You don't need to do this in your notes. I just want to show you. And to check it, this a equals 8 is now 5 times 8 plus 7 equals to 47. This, that's red and green. I know some people are red-green colorblind like Mr. Sindel. 5 times 8, I plug that in and see if the left-hand side is equal to 47, like the right-hand side is also equal to 47. That's how you can check your work. You rewrite the equation, and then you plug in the variable that you got. All right. Example 2. We're on the back. Flip it over. We're already on the back. Okay. So, getting some XP now. First step is what? Quiet raise hand. First step. Fernando has an idea. Sergio has an idea. I want to see more hands. Jose has an idea. Cohen has an idea. We only have 4 hands. 4 out of 12. That's 33% rounding. Fernando, talk to me. -2. Why did you say -2 on both sides? What about PEMDAS are you using?
The lowest level?
Yeah, subtraction is the lowest level. Perfect. So -2 on both sides, and 30 minus 2 is 28. Copy down that equal sign exactly underneath the other equal sign. That +2 and -2 cancel each other out. I'm only left with n divided by -4. N divided by -4. All right. Let me give you your XP before I forget. All right, we're copying down, copying down, copying down. All right. What's my next step? Quiet raised hand. Something that happens to both sides of that equality to try to isolate, to try to solve for that n. I see 2 hands. I see Sergio. I see Fernando. I want to see at least 2 more before I call on someone. There's Jose's hand. I'm waiting for 1 more hand before I call on someone. 1 more hand. 1 more hand. Who knows what to do? You do the inverse operation. Right now, n is being divided by -4. Inverse operation. Come on, 1 more hand. 1 more hand. There's the other hand. Sergio. Times -4 on both sides. I agree. Times by -4. That's how I write it. I'm saying times by -4. So what's going on here? Arrows using heel, arrows using heel in other classes. Okay, so this -4 and -4, they cancel each other out. And I'm left with 4 times, or -4, sorry, times 28. -4 times 28. First of all, is it a positive or a negative? A negative times a positive is what? Quiet raised hand. Actually, we're going to do thumbs on this one. That way everyone has to participate. You're doing thumbs up for positive, thumbs down for negative. If everyone participates in the next 3 seconds, we get 10 XP. Is a negative times a positive a negative or a positive? Do thumbs. 3, 2, 1. Interesting. So we have some mixed answers, but the majority does have it. It is a negative. A negative times a positive is a negative, so my final answer down here is going to be a negative something. So I have to do a -4 times 28. So if you don't know how to do that, just go do it on the side. 28 times 4. 4 times 8 is 32. Carry the 3, so that's 32. Then 2 times 4 is 8, plus 3 is 11. 112, but don't forget that it's a negative, so negative 112. Copy down that equal sign right underneath, and the n is by itself. It is isolated. If the n is isolated, we box our final answer once that variable is by itself. It is isolated, and n is equal to -112. And we could also check that answer by plugging it back in, but again, we're kind of limited on notes today. And because we didn't know that answer, I want to review signs really quickly. A positive times a positive is what? Quiet raised hand. Andres? A positive. So write a positive here. Thank you, Andres. What about the next one? A positive times a negative is, Sergio?
Negative.
Is a negative. Write it down. It's a negative. Thank you, Sergio. A negative times a positive is what? Quiet raised hand. Lots of XP going out right now. Monse. It's a negative. Monse, there you are. A negative times a negative is what? Fernando.
Positive.
Is a positive. Go ahead and write it down. Now you have a reference. It's alphabetical, Mr. Sindel. You should be able to go faster. All right. What about when I do division? A positive divided by a positive is what, Sergio?
Positive.
A positive. A positive divided by a negative is what, Fernando? Is negative. Write it down in your notes. You'll have it forever and ever. A negative divided by a positive is what, Jose? A negative. And finally, a negative divided by a negative. Oh, look, they look like they're the same across and across. Who wants to do this one? Someone new? Can someone new go? Jess? Oh, Jennifer. Yeah, go. Or sorry, Josie, go for it. Positive, yes. Thank you, Josie. All right. And our final example, so we can end our notes today. Still have a bit of time left in class to do the homework. These show up on Khan Academy tonight, where we have parentheses. Parentheses up here are the very top level, which means we do them last. But there are two ways of solving this. I can just go through my order of operations, reverse through PEMDAS, but if I know how to distribute, there's a second way of doing it. So the first way I'm going to solve this one is by going up from the bottom rung to the top rung with order of operations. So the last rung, the rung that I can't touch, is the parentheses. I have to do everything without touching the parentheses. So the first thing I can do outside the parentheses is this -3. This -3 is being multiplied by this quantity in parentheses. So the opposite of multiplying by -3 is shouted out
Dividing.
by
-3.
exactly dividing by -3. So I'm going to say divide this whole side by -3 because -3 is being multiplied by this entire quantity. And to undo that, I can't touch the parentheses because that's the highest order. So I have to divide by -3 on both sides. So when I divide by -3, those cancel out. I should do that in a different color. Those cancel out. 21 divided by -3. I need a quiet raised hand. Based on our table up here, you should know if it's positive or negative. 21 divided by -3 is, I see 3 hands. Jennifer, -7. There it is. Thank you, Jennifer. -7. And those -3's canceled out, so I copy down my equal sign right underneath the other equal sign, and I have p plus 2 still in parentheses, but because there's nothing else, I can drop the parentheses. I can just leave it as p plus 2. Once parentheses are by themselves, they drop. All right, we're almost there. We have one more step left. What's the step and what's the answer? Quiet raised hand. What's the step? What's the answer? I only see one hand. That means I haven't given enough time to think about it. What's that last and final step? And what is the answer when you do that step, Fernando?
-2 on both sides.
-2 on both sides. Copy down that equal sign right underneath. So there's a bunch of equal signs in this vertical row, or vertical column, I should say. Okay, so I have the 2 cancels out, so I'm just left with p on the right-hand side. And Fernando, to get that 50 XP, you need to tell me what -7 minus 2 is.
-9.
-9? I don't know. What do we think? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Agree or disagree? Is it -9 or is it something else? I see some people in the middle, some people thumbs up, a few people thumbs down. Some people didn't vote, so you don't get the 10 XP there. It is indeed -9 because if I do this on the side, just to show you, -2 minus 9 is the same thing as plus a -9. When they're both the same sign, they're going the same direction. Oh, sorry, this is a -7 here, huh? Let's come back here. Oopsies. That is a -9. So I'm adding a God darn, I did the same thing again. 7, there it is, plus a -7. So they're both going the same direction. That means I'm adding them and taking the sign. If I add them together, I get a 9. Take the sign, I get a negative. And there is my final answer. P is indeed equal to -9. Thank you, Fernando. And I think I forgot to do a thumbs from a while back, so I'm going to do that right now for all of us. So thumbs, there's our thumbs, 10 XP. There is a second way to solve this. If you know how to distribute, and you should know how to do this from unit 0, to distribute means this entire -3 is going to be multiplied by this p, and that entire -3 is also going to be multiplied by this +2. So if I distribute, my new equation becomes, I still have that 21, nothing happened to it on the left. You're writing this down. But on the right-hand side, I have a -3 times p, which is a -3p. A -3 times a +2 is a -6. I have now distributed this -3. Now that I've distributed, I don't have to worry about parentheses. It's really nice not worrying about parentheses. So now I can just do this like a normal problem. Let's give some XP out. XP, what's the first step that I do? Andres?
+6.
+6 on both sides. On both sides, yeah. There it is. And what do I have on the left, Andres?
27.
And what do I have on the right?
Negative. That's -6, right?
That's a -6 and a positive 6. Can't speak.
That's 0.
So that's 0. I agree those cancel each other out. And I have
Oh, -3p.
-3p. There it is. Thank you, Andres. And then Sergio, do you want to do that final step for us?
Yeah, divided by 3 both sides.
Divide both sides by 3. So divide by 3 like that. Divide by 3 like that.
Cancel 3 divided by 3.
Okay. Let me switch to a new color here. 3 divided by 3. Okay.
27 divided by -3 equals -9.
Oh, you're divided by -3 or +3?
Negative.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I misheard you. -3, -3. And when I do 27 divided by -3, say it again.
-9.
-9 is equal to
P.
P. And you
Box.
your final answer. Yep. Thank you. There it is. See, same answer, doing it a different way. If you like the left-hand side better than the right-hand side, do the left-hand side. If you like the right-hand side better than the left-hand side because you don't have to deal with the parentheses, do the right-hand side. I don't care which side you choose, but those are 2 different ways of solving it. Please write your summaries now. I'm going to be checking our summaries today, so you don't check with a neighbor. Today you have to get Mr. Sindel's approval before you open up your laptop. So when you're done writing your summary, raise your hand. I'll come by and check off your summary. Make sure that you have this red star in your summary somehow. All right, so that concludes today's notes.